There's a number of ways of navigating in our three-dimensional view, and they're covered within additional how-tos. However, this video is going to take a closer look at what's known as the viewcube. And the viewcube is this icon here that exists up in the top right-hand corner of the viewport. And what it allows us to do is, despite working within our perspective camera, we can very quickly jump to orthographic views. We can jump to diagonal views, side diagonal views, bottom diagonal views. Any sort of position around this cube, we can just left click and select, and we can go to any of these. Now there's a few different icons around this depending on what view we're in. Okay, if I just left click on a corner, you'll notice that the only areas that become highlighted are here up on the box. However, if I go into an orthographic view, as an example the top, I get 4 arrows, and then I also get these 2 arrows here. Now the 2 in the top right hand corner just allow me to rotate 90 degrees, and then these 4 arrows allow me to jump to additional orthographic views. So this is the top view. If I hit this one, it's going to take me straight to the front, straight to the side, back to the front, back to the other side, and then just selecting a corner I can go back to wherever I like. So it's a very quick method, and it's a good way sometimes, rather than actually hitting spacebar going into our top view, we can just remain in our perspective view like that and just select the camera angle we need. We also have a home icon. If I just select that, it will bring me back to the default camera position, and that's also based upon our grid size. That's something that's covered within an additional how-to as well. You may have seen just when I jumped into the top view that we also had the viewcube in there. Okay, it's very specific. Obviously, it's going to be the top view that's indicated, but we can always change the top camera to another angle if we wanted to. Alright, a lot of the time you won't. A lot of the time you'll just keep it as it is, as the default. Let me just bring it round so it's fine. A lot of the time you'll just use these orthographic views as they're set up, and then in the perspective view, that's when you'll make the most of using the viewcube. Beneath the actual cube, we have the ability to set up some options. Okay, the first one is to go to home, and that's exactly the same as using this icon here. We can lock to a current selection. If I had an object selected, we'd be able to lock the camera view to that. If I just move my camera around within space, I can say I'm going to set this new camera position as my home. So if I move it around, spin around in space, and then hit the home button, I'll now go back to the position that I set up a moment ago rather than the default, which is sort of more around here. Okay, so you can set up your own default camera positions. You can get rid of it by just saying reset home, and then if I hit the home icon, that'll take me to the default home position. We've got set current view as front, which is a little bit unusual, but if I just select that, you'll notice now that the viewcube adjusts in relationship to this view. So if I was going to look from the old front, I'd have to go much more around to a diagonal view and begin to just kind of rotate it. But it can be a little bit confusing to try and set that up, but sometimes you may want to model at a different angle and you'll want everything based upon a new front view. Just like the home, we can reset the front, and then if I just go back, you just rotate around. There you go, I'm back at the front now and back at my default home. We have a properties, and also we have a help section. Now the help will take me through to my web browser and to the exact page within the Maya documentation. The properties, if I select that, will take us through to our preferences window. And we've got a special viewcube area. So I can actually turn the viewcube off. I can change the position from being top right to bottom right, depending on where I wanted it. I can change the size, so it takes up more or less space within the viewport. And the inactive opacity can be pretty useful. We can set that to 0, so as you can see, it's now not actually visible. But if I go and hover over that area, it becomes active again and visible. We have the option to set it up so if I'm actually dragging, left-click dragging on this, it will automatically just snap to the nearest angle, depending on which way I'm dragging it. and also preserve the scene up during any kind of transitions that we do. When clicking on the view cube, we can fit to view on the view change, and we can use animated transitions when switching views. A lot of these, you tend to leave at default, very rarely adjust these, perhaps only just change the inactive opacity and perhaps the position. We can also show a compass on the view cube. If I go and highlight it now, you can see there that I've now got a north, so I can look in a northerly direction and just change the position of the camera based upon a compass system. Okay, I can left click drag around in that circle there, as you can see. It's just another way in which we're able to navigate around our scene quickly and accurately.